Hello, world. Welcome back to another epic story. Today, I'm going to tell you about the day that I met Jeff Bezos. I just woke up. I haven't had any coffee. I want to get into this video as quickly and as well as I can without getting lost in the details. So today, I'm not showing any screen for you. And I'm telling the story as best from my memory as I can for my sake, so that I can stick with the goal of having one story told per day, along with being able to do it justice of telling what the story had happened. Let me get right into it. How and when did I, Eric Paul Alien Jerkoff Epic, meet Jeff Bezos? So it was 2020. Around February. I was at the time doing two things for work. I was driving Lyft in Los Angeles, and I was also catering for a company called Luke's Catering. And I got the call to be a server at this private luncheon event in Beverly Hills. It was on Runyon Canyon Road, I believe, if you are familiar with the Beverly Hills area. Straight up or close up from Doheny. And so I went to this luncheon at the call time, whatever it was, 10 or 11 a.m. Drive the Prius that I'm driving around for Lyft at the time and park it on the block and go into this really gated off building that was a complete mansion. Like there was this massive house on one side and a yard, almost not an acreage, but for the Beverly Hills area inside of this fenced off area. Once you walk in and saw how much yard space there was, it was incredible. And then there were two separate houses built into the same area, into the property. One was specifically just for catering as a kitchen for events on the property. Now, there were tables that were already set up around the lower side of the yard that the staff before I had arrived had already been working on. And at the time, I was beginning to understand energy and positivity, my own personal self. And so I was showing and demonstrating how I could be positive in situations personally, but at the same time I would also sort of pray for things or see what energy is calling me. So with these tables, when we came together as servers, the leads of the service crew said, okay, you guys are going to each cater to one of these tables, so go ahead and pick one. And I looked at the tables, and there's one in the far right, or it was upper left from my perspective, that I went, okay, that table I feel like is the one. And so I went and I picked it. Then the actual event began. We were told by the head staff, this is an Oscar luncheon, it's private, no photos or videos are allowed to be taken. And even though they said that, I still had taken a video on my phone because this was like a situation I never thought that I would ever get again or to be in. But like all my evidence, it's lost. So what do we do about that? So the event actually starts and people are starting to come in for this luncheon. And to be honest with you, I'm sure that there were so many actors and actresses or people that I did not know who came through, but it was a beautiful sunny day, and the one person that I was aware of who it was because they had told us, the event owner or the person hosting the event, is Barry Diller from IAC, I think is the company. So I'm serving at this event. I've got a tray on my hand and there's margaritas on them. And what happens is there's a stairway that people are coming up from the entrance of the property. And I see this couple in the distance coming. So I've got 2 margaritas left on my tray. And me wanting to, serve the people properly and just get as fast to them as I can, I almost start running towards this couple, or fast walking. And then as I close in and get closer, one of the margaritas slides and it almost falls off the tray. So I went like this and like saved it last minute without losing my momentum of moving forwards. And then I look up and have the margarita balanced, and I look the person in the eyes, and they were like, "Whoa, you saved it, nice." First words out of my mouth were, "Can I offer you a margarita?" And that was the moment in my head I clicked, thinking, wait a minute, I think I know who this person is. And my head saying, I think that's Jeff Bezos, but what are the chances? There's no way one of the richest people in the world is not at a luncheon that I'm at, that I could be in the same place at the same time as this person. So there was actually just one margarita on the tray. I just remembered that. Right, because I had balanced it. And then Jeff goes, "Oh my goodness, nice, you saved it." And I'm like, "Margarita." And the woman that he was with took the margarita. I said, "Can I offer you one as well?" And he goes, "I'd really like that." So I head all the way back to the kitchen and grab a full tray of margaritas. And then I come back and look through the crowd to try to identify if I could still see that couple. I found them and brought the margarita back for him. At this point, it's not confirmed. Oh, that's Jeff Bezos. He had glasses on, bald head. I don't remember the attire that he was wearing. Everyone was in formal casual wear. And they had a good hour of stand-up talking and mingling and greeting one another on the yard before the event called to the next stage, which was sitting around the picnic tables. And there was a long buffet that the catering crew brought in with fried chicken so that the luncheon could continue. When we moved to this next stage, this is where we as a service staff were told that we're going to go and start hosting the table and be present for the people at the table that we had chosen. And as I look at the people that are at my table, I notice that Jeff Bezos and his crew are at my table. And I'm kind of shocked and bewildered inside. At the same time, there was that feeling of, well, of course I got called to that table. That's really neat. So I go and let themselves know that I'm there to help them if they need anything, even though the way that this buffet was set up is, it was like for the guests of the party to be able to walk through and get their own things without trouble. The party size was probably only 100 people, if that, maybe 50. So as everybody, as they were having their lunch and they had got all their stuff, I came back to the table once and said, "Is there anything that I can get for you guys? By the way, I'm your server. My name's Eric." And I had leaned over the shoulder of Jeff at the time, who hadn't introduced himself. He goes, "Oh, Eric, good to meet you. I'm Jeff." And bro, like in my head, I'm thinking, I feel like that's humility. Man, this person that has created Amazon, that has put such an impact on this world, I'm not seeing any ego in that interaction, okay? I'm not talking about everything else that he's done or whatnot, keep those things off the table here. I thought, like, dude, he just said, "Oh, my name is Jeff," as though I should not know. I do not know who he is. And to be fair, many people wouldn't know who Jeff Bezos is. You know, it's what it is. So I ended up going to get more fried chicken for Jeff, as he requested. And I also believe that he introduced me to his, whoever it was, his partner that he was with. And then the afternoon kept going on. They had some entertainment for the party, and then at the end of it, the guests left. Jeff Bezos left. We cleaned up for it. That's the story of how I met Jeff Bezos, out of the blue, a random instance of my life. And kind of bizarre, especially the idea that we were told to pick tables and I picked that one, along with the fact that when you look at the idea that I was the person who greeted Bezos along with his partner as they came in, almost spilling a margarita on him. And then further at the table that had been chosen by myself was the one that Bezos went with his party and sat at. I find those things interesting. Yeah, that's the story. Okay. If you're new here, thank you for listening to my stories, and maybe we'll see you in another video. That's it for today. Be epic.